Godou is a lonely loser who felt like he was just wasting his life. But everything changed when he accidentally killed a god during a journey, becoming a godslayer. Surprisingly, this new status came with the unexpected benefits of clapping a lots of girls. But this all begins with a girl named Erica accused Godou of stealing a grimoire he was returning for his grandpa. Before he could explain, a giant boar appeared as if summoned. Erica quickly headed towards the boar with Ariana in tow. The monster was already wrecking the city, almost trampling a bride, but Ariana swerved just in time. Erica leaped into the sky, aided by Hermes' shoes that boosted her jump onto a building. There, she transformed into her very sexy-looking battle gear and recited an incantation to summon a sword. She attacked the boar with a weak flame, realizing it was a divine beast. She then used her full power to try to break its shield. As Godou rushed to help, he tripped and encountered a mysterious man who called himself the mightiest being capable of vanquishing any enemy. The man claimed he summoned old beasts to test his strength. Meanwhile, Erica was still fighting the boar. The mysterious man called her a witch and asked if Godou was singing for her. Godou explained he just wanted to return the tablet, which the glowing stranger found amusing. He called Godou an honorable warrior, returned the tablet as if it were a gift, and then disappeared on a horse, leaving Godou even more confused. Erica, meanwhile, was fighting for her life, but Godou arrived just in time to save her from falling to her doom. Together, they watched as the boar vanished in a tornado. Erica explained that it was an incarnation of a god. While they waited for the train, Erica told Godou that the boar had been summoned by a heretic god. She explained that heretic gods brought disaster to the human world, and each disaster matched their abilities. Only those who possessed magic could see them, while normal humans saw them as natural disasters. Erica then asked about the grimoire in his possession, and Godou told her he was supposed to return it to Lucretia Zola. Erica recognized the name, saying Lucretia was the Great Witch of Sardinia. After a few arguments about how slow Godou was for not recognizing the power he was holding, Erica offered to take him to Lucretia. By the time they arrived at Lucretia's home, Godou was sure he'd die from Erica's wild driving. Because you all know guys, this bitch cannot drive. At the gate, they were met by a talking cat, who asked why they had come. Erica explained, and they went inside to find Lucretia lying in lingerie. I don't know guys. Her seductive pose, making my editing hard. Godou was surprised, expecting an old, unattractive woman nearing the end of her days. After they handed her the grimoire, Lucretia asked if Godou had encountered anyone on his way there. He told her about the mysterious man. Lucretia then handed the grimoire back to him, saying the gods wished for him to keep it. Later that night, Erica drank a lot because she was mad that Lucretia had given the grimoire to Godou. After Erica passed out, Godou helped her to her room. She made him take off her dress before she lay down and drifted off to sleep. Godou tried to leave, but it turned out Lucretia had locked the doors, hoping that he and Erica would spend the night together and do amazing stuff. What would you do if you are in position of Godou? The next morning, Erica woke up angry and confronted Godou, accusing him of taking advantage of her. Godou explained that he hadn't touched her the night before, doing only masturbate by see him half naked. Sorry guy. I mean he was still trying to convince her. They heard a loud noise outside. Erica quickly dressed and ran out with Godou. Outside, they saw a stone giant walking past the building. Erica called out to him and asked him to stop. The giant did, though he mentioned it was rude to stop a god. She apologized and asked if he was Melkart. He confirmed his identity, but their conversation was interrupted when lightning struck him. Melkart continued on his way, but Erica told Godou she was going ahead to stop him from fighting another god. Godou insisted on coming along, so Erica had Ariana drive them towards Melkart. On the way, Godou recalled what Lucretia had told him about the grimoire, which held the power to steal another god's authority. She also mentioned it contained an incarnation from the god Verth Ragna, which was very powerful. Meanwhile, Melkart had already come face to face with Verth Ragna. Erica was surprised to find out that Godou knew who Verth Ragna was. She tried to get between the two gods to stop their fight, attempting to convince them to call it off. However, they told her not to interfere. Verth Ragna even tried to strike her with lightning, but Godou pushed her out of the way just in time. Determined to help, Godou made up his mind to team up with Melkart, promising to assist him in defeating Verth Ragna. When Verth Ragna noticed what was happening, he said he was glad he'd made the right choice. However, he tried to strike them with thunder again, but Melkart cast a protective shield around them. Undeterred, Verth Ragna summoned his golden sword, which had the power to cut away a god's power, and used it to cut through the shield. Erica tried to convince Godou to run, but he refused, saying he wasn't a spineless coward who ran from problems. She then gave him a good luck kiss on the cheek. Once the shield broke, Godou released the stallion from the grimoire to attack Verth Ragna. Verth Ragna was unharmed and called Godou a fool for risking his life in such a meaningless way. Godou then revealed that he had used the stallion as a distraction to steal the golden sword. Before Verth Ragna could fully grasp the loss of his sword, Erica kissed Godou again, and the entire area was enveloped in a golden light. Some time later, Godou found himself in a dreamlike state where he met Pandora. She informed him that he had met all the conditions of being a godslayer, and would be reborn as a Campione since he had given his life to slay Verth Ragna. When he woke up, he began preparing for school but nearly jumped out of his skin when he saw Erica sleeping naked on his bed. I think guys there is lots of clapping on the last night. After managing to convince her to get dressed, they both went downstairs. Godou's sister, Shizuka, then asked if he was now letting his girlfriend spend the night, but Godou had no way of explaining the real truth to her. He kept trying to insist that nothing was going on between him and Erica. It turned out that Erica had followed him to Japan because she realized she was in love with him. At school, Godou was shocked when Erica introduced herself as a transfer student and announced that Godou was her future husband. Embarrassed, he tried to drag her out of the classroom but accidentally grabbed the wrong person, who turned out to be Yuri. After school, while Godou and Yuri were walking home together, a man named Amakasu approached them and introduced himself to Godou. Afterwards, the three of them went to a temple where Amakasu explained he was from a government organization handling incidents involving gods or magic. He mentioned that according to their intel, Erica had the power to attract men with her sexy figure and pretty face, making her reasons for approaching Godou suspicious. One possibility he mentioned was Erica wanting to recruit Godou for her organization in Italy. Later that evening, when Godou returned home, he pondered over Erica's true motives. Suddenly, he turned and found Erica on his bed. She planned to ask Godou out on a date, but he confronted her, demanding to know her true reasons for coming to Japan. Erica offered to spend a day with him, promising to reveal her main objective afterward. Godou reluctantly agreed. However, he didn't expect Erica to take him back to Italy, specifically to a Colosseum. Inside the Colosseum, as Godou waited for Erica, he was visited by a mysterious girl who challenged him to a duel. Godou refused to fight her, which angered her. She scornfully told him he was unworthy of being a Campione before disappearing. Erica arrived with 3 men from her organization to meet the 7th Campione and assess his skills. Without warning, she challenged Godou to prove himself before her and the others. Summoning her sword, she attacked, catching Godou off guard. Despite being unprepared, he managed to evade Erica's strikes. Erica then summoned a massive steel lion to battle Godou, with her colleagues watching from the sidelines. Using his power from Verth Ragna, Godou endured the lion's attacks and eventually threw it to the ground. The lion persisted, attacking again, but Godou, aided by the raptor's speed, dodged every blow. Erica, after turning the lion back into her sword, conjured a huge magical tornado. Unfazed, Godou used the opportunity to lure her into a counterattack. He warned Erica of his unleashed strength and released a giant boar, forcing her to leap into the air to avoid its charge. The boar demolished the Colosseum upon impact. Returning to the ground, Erica explained Godou's limits with his incarnations, but he interrupted her, knocking her down before she finished. Impressed by Godou's abilities, Erica's organization members praised him. Erica then awarded Godou a mysterious stone and confessed her feelings, revealing that her desire to be with him stemmed from love rather than duty. The next day, Amakasu approached Yuri with urgent news. A divine event involving Godou was imminent. Meanwhile, a mysterious girl, identified as one of the Heretic Gods, arrived in Japan and surveyed the city from a rooftop. Her mission, to locate the Gorgon. At school, Yuri sought out Godou during their afternoon break for a private conversation on the rooftop. She inquired if he had encountered a sacred treasure known as the Gorgon. Godou hadn't, but he grew curious about its appearance. Yuri described it as a small stone medallion, and to her surprise, Godou revealed the medallion given to him by Erica. Recognizing it as the Gorgon, Yuri explained that a goddess was searching for it, warning that its discovery could lead to catastrophic consequences for the world. Later, at a temple, Yuri elaborated on a prophecy foretelling a disaster where the sky would be filled with stars. Yuri explained that the prophecy came from Princess Alice, a shrine maiden who had attained the highest level in heaven, and her predictions were never wrong. She warned that if a god were to obtain the Gorgon, they would become terrifying and corrupt. Godou suggested destroying it, but Yuri explained they could only seal it. Erica arrived and confirmed Yuri's words. Using her powers, Yuri located the goddess seeking the Gorgon, who turned out to be Athena. Godou and Erica immediately headed out to confront her. When they encountered Athena, Godou realized she was the mysterious girl he had met in Italy. Athena, sensing they didn't possess the Gorgon, attacked. Erica blocked her initial assault with her sword, but Athena used magic to trap Erica and then attempted to fatally poison Godou with a kiss. Erica managed to free herself and transformed her sword into a spear, engaging Athena in combat. Despite Erica's fierce attacks, Athena remained calm and unfazed, knowing Erica wasn't the Campione. Undeterred, Erica persisted, eventually using the shattered pieces of her spear to ensnare Athena. Meanwhile, Yuri was on her way to seal the Gorgon when she unexpectedly encountered Liliana in Japan. Liliana demanded that Yuri hand over the Gorgon, but Yuri refused. Just as a fight was about to break out, Amaterasu arrived in a car, providing Yuri with the chance to create a cage-like barrier around Liliana. Yuri quickly got into the car, and they left the area immediately. Later that evening, Godou woke up to find himself lying on Erica's lap. He asked about Athena's whereabouts, and Erica told him she was likely still searching for the Gorgon. Erica then explained the legend of the Gorgon, kissing Godou as she spoke. She recounted how Medusa, the Gorgon monster, was defeated by Perseus, and her head was given to the goddess Athena, who placed it into one of her magical shields. As they were talking, the sky suddenly turned pitch black, a clear sign of Athena's power. Later that night, Athena sent her owls to search for the Gorgon. Meanwhile, Godou and Erica rushed to meet Yuri as she prepared to seal the Gorgon. During their journey, Yuri called Godou, who warned her that Athena was coming and she was in danger. He instructed Yuri to call his name wholeheartedly if she needed help, promising he would come to her aid. After the call, Godou and Erica abandoned their car and continued on foot. Erica understood that Godou planned to use the power of the wind to reach Yuri quickly. Godou confirmed this, though he admitted he wasn't sure if he could manage it. Athena arrived at Yuri's location, defeating her with ease. Liliana also showed up to help, but Athena overpowered her as well. Athena then obtained the Gorgon and began reverting to her godly form, although she wasn't at full strength yet. Yuri, in desperation, called out for Godou, who arrived just in time to catch her as she fell. Preparing to face Athena, Yuri started coughing in pain. Athena revealed that she had spread her poisonous death fog before their arrival, and Yuri had inhaled it. Godou summoned the golden sword, which had the power to neutralize the poison in Yuri. With the golden sword in hand, Godou transported himself and Athena into the dimension of 1,000 golden swords, ready to battle her. Outside the dimension, Erica explained to Yuri that the space Godou had created contained thousands of golden swords, allowing him to fight Athena with all his might. Even though Athena was still alive, Erica passed her magic spear to Godou, who threw it at Athena, causing a massive explosion that severely injured her and reverted her to her younger form. Instead of finishing her off, Godou told her to leave, ending the battle between them. Amaterasu reported the battle to his superiors, noting that Godou had defeated Athena. He also expressed his belief that this night was not the disaster Princess Alice had foreseen, as the situation had been resolved too easily. A few days later, Godou went to Erica's house because she insisted he wake her up so they could go to school together. However, Erica was naked sleeping on the bed. Godou had to shake her until she finally opened her eyes. He then told her to get up and get dressed for school. Erica complained that he was being too rough but sat up anyway, leaving Godou momentarily speechless. The cunning Erica then stretched out her hands, asking him to help her dress. Godou, without hesitation, ran to pick up her clothes and tried to figure out how to put them back on her. But guys, I only knew how to unlock this, not how to close this. When Erica taunting him that he was too slow, Godou realized what he was doing and, in a panic, threw the bra away in shock. Meanwhile, Yuri had a vision of Liliana bowing before a mysterious man, asking if it was time to finally begin their plans. The man instructed Liliana to start, as she had everything she needed. However, he suddenly sensed Yuri's presence, and the vision shifted to a void where the man tried to intimidate her. Yuri snapped out of the vision, puzzled about its meaning. Later, while packing her lunch, Yuri was so absorbed in thoughts about her vision that she didn't notice her sister, Hikari, entering the room until she stole an egg roll from her plate. Hikari commented on how delicious the egg roll was and teased that Godou would surely love them. In the middle of scolding her sister, Yuri paused and asked how she knew about Godou. Hikari explained that Amaterasu had told her everything and praised Yuri for trying to win Godou over with her feminine skills. Yuri, a bit slow on the uptake, blushed intensely, turning as red as a fire truck. She scolded Hikari, saying a child shouldn't have such a dirty mouth, but Hikari was too busy looking for a bigger bento box to pay attention. Finding one, Hikari offered to help Yuri pack the food, noting that guys ate a lot. Yuri tried to explain that she hadn't made the lunch with Godou in mind, but Hikari, ever the matchmaker, insisted that if Yuri made Godou fall for her, they would get married. Yuri couldn't help but daydream about her wedding with Godou, even though she knew it was a bit delusional. When Yuri arrived at school and opened the classroom door, she found the ever-daring Erica sitting on Godou's lap. The other half of the class watched as Godou tried to get Erica off him, but she refused, teasing him to stop acting prudish and even implying they had spent the night together. It dawned on Godou that Erica had planned everything and was up to no good. However, before he could question her, Yuri suddenly appeared beside him. She immediately began scolding both of them for acting like a pair of bitches, telling Erica that it was unbecoming of a proper lady to behave like someone from the red light district. Erica retorted that there was nothing wrong with it since her body and sword belonged to Godou. Yuri, maintaining her composure, reminded Erica that there was a time and place for everything. This led to an intense staring competition between the two girls. Later that day, during PE class, Yuri, Godou, and the rest of the class watched as Erica pitched perfectly during a baseball game. Yuri asked Godou if Erica was using magic to boost her throws, but he assured her that Erica wouldn't do such a thing. This led Yuri to point out how much trust he had in Erica, suggesting it was because he knew that underneath her tsundere act, she was a big old teddy bear. Just then, Erica called out to Godou, asking him to be the catcher for her next game. He refused, even when she tried to bait him by mocking him. He said he wasn't in the mood to play her petty games. Yuri, unaware that he'd been a catcher before, asked why he had stopped. Godou explained that he'd hurt his shoulder, but since becoming a Campione, it had healed nicely. However, he still didn't feel comfortable using his powers to play. Erica then challenged Yuri to a match. Godou immediately stood up, asking what Erica was planning. Ignoring his question, Erica turned to tease Yuri, who responded by telling Erica not to underestimate her. Yuri agreed to play, so Godou reluctantly acted as the catcher. Before the game started, Yuri had a vision of how Erica would pitch. She shared this with Godou, and he came up with a plan to help them win. However, when the game began, Yuri's swings were weak, and the ball just sailed past her to Godou's glove. After the second strike, Godou advised her to only swing when he gave the signal. When Erica pitched the ball again, and Godou gave the signal, Yuri, excited, took a swing. Unfortunately, she hit the ball only to realize it had struck Godou's family jewels, and the bat had gotten stuck in his helmet. Meanwhile, at the crater created by Godou and Athena's fight, Amaterasu encountered Liliana. He questioned her presence in Japan, wondering why a bronze knight of the bronze black cross was there. Liliana simply replied that she had stopped by on a whim before leaving. Back at school, Godou and the girls went to the roof for lunch. When they noticed Yuri's huge bento box, Godou remarked that he had no idea she had such a large appetite. Yuri explained that she had made too much food and wanted to share. Erica wasted no time and took a piece of egg roll, but complained that it wasn't fluffy enough. Godou told her to keep quiet, pointing out that she couldn't even boil an egg, and praised Yuri's cooking skills. Erica then accused Yuri of trying to seduce Godou with food, but Yuri denied it, saying she only wanted to guide him. Erica asked Yuri if she had a cell phone, and Yuri admitted she didn't own one. Erica suggested she get one so she could talk to Godou whenever she wanted, and even asked Godou to accompany her to buy one. Overwhelmed, Yuri made up an excuse to leave. After she was gone, Erica told Godou that she only allowed Yuri to stay close because of her special abilities. After school, Godou accompanied Yuri to a phone shop. Feeling shy and out of place, Yuri decided to buy the same model as Godou's so he could teach her how to use it. While Godou was talking to a staff member, Yuri sensed a presence, but by the time she looked, the person was gone. After purchasing the phone, they went to a park where Godou showed Yuri how to set it up. Once she got the hang of it, she called his phone so he would have her number and asked him to call her if anything happened. When Godou got home, the house was empty. As he was heading to his room, his phone rang. He picked it up but immediately ended the call when he realized who was on the other line. However, the person called again, and this time he answered. It turned out to be Salvatore Doni, the Campione he had fought in Italy. Doni informed Godou about another Campione currently in Japan, and advised him to challenge this Campione to a duel to get stronger. Godou hung up before Doni could say more. However, Godou's first instinct was to call Erica and tell her about it, but he decided to call Yuri instead. Meanwhile, Yuri was taking a bath when his call came in. As she stood to get her phone, Liliana arrived and knocked her out. By the time Yuri woke up, she was in the mysterious room she had seen in her dreams. The mysterious night walker turned out to be Vulin, the other Campione Salvatore had mentioned. He told Yuri that he wanted her to summon a heretic god she had sealed away 4 years ago because he was bored and needed to release some steam. Back at Yuri's shrine, Emikasu informed Godou and Erica that Vulin had taken Yuri and begged them to help bring her back. Godou agreed to help and asked Emikasu for information on Vulin's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Yuri, still in Vulin's custody, recalled her earlier conversation with him. She had refused to summon the heretic god, not wanting to invite chaos into her country. Vulin, unfazed by her defiance, told her she had no right to choose. Yuri calmly threatened to take her own life to prevent him from using her, but Vulin remained unfazed. He summoned his undead servants, bound to him even in death, and explained that he could control her soul to do his bidding, confident that her abilities would still work after death. Using her powers, Yuri looked into Vulin's soul and discovered that the god whose authority he had taken was Anubis, an Egyptian god who ruled over the land of the dead, explaining his control over the souls of the slain. Erica and Godou soon arrived at Vulin's hideout. As soon as they stepped inside, they were attacked by Vulin's servants. While they fought them off, another servant informed Vulin about the intrusion, and he ordered that they be taken care of. Erica and Godou managed to fight off the first wave of warriors, but then encountered a witch who summoned a golem. When the golem proved troublesome, Godou tried using his ram, but Erica suggested a simpler method. She explained that they needed to change the inscription on the golem's forehead to mean death. Seizing an opening, Erica slashed at the inscription, altering the letters to spell death, causing the golem to crumble. Meanwhile, Liliana brought Yuri some tea. When Yuri tried to make small talk, Liliana informed her that Godou and Erica had stormed the hideout, which surprised Yuri. Liliana remarked that Godou was like Vulin, seeking the thrill of a fight, but Yuri defended him, saying Godou wasn't as violent as the other Campions. Liliana argued that since Godou had received his powers the same way as the others, it was normal for him to crave a good fight. She then told Yuri to purify herself, as the ritual to summon the god would begin soon. Elsewhere in the building, Erica took out the last of Vulin's servants using her steel lion, advising Godou to save his authority for his fight against Vulin. Another mage under Vulin's command tried to stop them, but Erica quickly disposed of him. When they entered Vulin's room, he demanded to know why they had come. Godou stated that he was there for his friend. Vulin, referring to Yuri as a rare and valuable asset, refused to return her. He then asked what Godou had brought in exchange for Yuri. Erica stepped in, telling Godou to take his close friend Salvatore's advice, which piqued Vulin's curiosity. He asked what she meant by Salvatore and Godou being close friends. Erica explained that the two had fought in Italy and, after their duel, had developed mutual respect for each other's abilities. She mentioned that Salvatore had advised Godou to duel with Vulin to show him that he was an ancient relic belonging in a museum. Although Godou tried to clarify that Salvatore had said no such thing, Vulin had already taken the bait. Vulin asked if Godou had been the one to defeat Athena. Godou replied that he had only whooped her and sent her packing. Vulin expressed his frustration, saying he had intended to hunt Athena down but Godou had stolen his prize. He also mentioned that Salvatore had done something similar 4 years ago. Snapping his fingers, Vulin made Liliana and Yuri appear in the room. He then proposed a game, hide and seek. He allowed Yuri to leave with Godou and Erica but gave them only 30 minutes to get as far away as possible. The challenge was to avoid getting caught by him until sunrise. While Hikari drove them away from Vulin's place, Erica pointed out that unless Godou fought Vulin, they would never be safe. Godou acknowledged this but blamed her for baiting Vulin. He then asked if she had any information on Vulin's authority. Erica explained that Vulin had already slain his god before the Night Order was created, so there was limited information on his abilities. Yuri then spoke up, begging them to run away while she returned to Vulin, as he only wanted her to perform a summoning. Erica told her that there was no way she would survive the ritual, reminding her that the last summoning ritual she performed 4 years ago had taken the lives of more than 30 people. Those who managed to survive ended up as permanent residents in Arkham Asylum. Erica added that while Yuri was unscathed last time, there was no guarantee she would come out of this one unharmed. Hikari's alarm went off, signaling the end of their 30-minute head start, and almost immediately, Vulin's wolves appeared behind them. Erica ordered Hikari to drop them off somewhere empty to avoid casualties during the fight. After being dropped off, they ran towards an open area before turning to face the wolves. Erica and Godou prepared for battle, knowing they had to fend off Vulin's wolves to buy more time. Godou activated his abilities, ready to protect Yuri and Erica from the oncoming threat. However, Erica stopped Godou from using his stallion and instead used a heavenly chain spell to unleash her sword on the wolves. Vulin appeared almost immediately and summoned more of his dead servants, who were all great knights during their lifetimes. Godou then summoned his stallion, which took out the knights in a ball of fire. But when the fireball approached Vulin, he transformed into a wolf and swallowed the fireball whole, turning the tables on them. Realizing they were in a tough spot, Godou and the girls braced themselves. Vulin, however, summoned more knights to fight in his stead. Erica began battling them, but Godou called out to her, suggesting they regroup. He picked up Yuri and ran off at incredible speed using the power of his raptor. She encountered Liliana on a rooftop, and the two faced off. Meanwhile, Godou ran as far as he could, and by the time he stopped, he was wheezing. Yuri tried healing him with her magic, but he explained that as a Campione, magic did not affect him unless it was directly injected into him. Yuri suddenly recalled all the times Erica had kissed Godou, realizing that the kisses were to directly apply magic to him. She blushed, admitting that she had thought Erica was just being shameless. Yuri then began rubbing his chest to help ease the pain. As she did, Godou told her that to fight Vulin effectively, he needed to get rid of Vulin's wolf form. Just as Yuri began apologizing for not having any information on Vulin's authorities, she suddenly had a vision. She saw the face of a golden statue, but before she could explain it to Godou, Amakasu interrupted them, informing them that Erica was in danger. Back on the rooftop, Erica and Liliana were fiercely battling, exchanging taunts to see who would give up first. Their fight continued as they flew around the city. Erica landed on another building and asked Liliana if she was serving Vulin of her own free will. Angrily, Liliana revealed that her grandfather had forced her into Vulin's service because Erica had seduced Godou into making her his knight. As Liliana moved to attack Erica again, Yuri called out to her from a balcony, begging her to stop. Yuri pleaded with Liliana to join forces with them, assuring her that Godou would gladly accept her as he wasn't like Vulin. Just as Liliana vehemently insisted that she would never abandon her master, a powerful gust of wind blew a signboard in Yuri's direction. Fortunately, Liliana swiftly cut it in half with her sword before it could hit Yuri. She then flew toward Erica, ready for another attack. However, Liliana stopped midway when Erica mentioned the book at the bottom of her bedroom drawer. Surprised, Liliana asked how she knew about it, but Erica ignored her question and continued to reveal details she had read in the book. Erica proposed that if Liliana promised to let her go, she would keep what she knew a secret. Liliana, however, threatened to exterminate Erica to keep the secret safe. Erica simply smiled and said that even if she died, people would still find out because she had included it in her will. Reluctantly, Liliana gave up. Godou and Yuri, who had been watching their interaction, didn't understand what they were talking about. Godou suggested that Yuri share her vision so that Liliana might help them with any information she had. After hearing Yuri's vision, Liliana agreed to assist them. A few minutes later, they returned to confront Vulin. Liliana announced that she was done doing his dirty work. Enraged, Vulin transformed and tried to kill them with his poisonous breath. As Vulin unleashed his toxic attack, Erica and Godou kissed, allowing Godou to absorb enough magic to summon his sword. Pulling out the sword, a golden aura surrounded them, leaving Vulin confused about the nature of this power. Godou then revealed that he knew the authority Vulin was using belonged to Apollo, the sun god. Meanwhile, Liliana and Erica struggled against Vulin's dead servants. Vulin, the twisted bastard he was, taunted them, saying he would add them to his collection after they died. On the other hand, Yuri and Godou were having trouble connecting, so she suggested making their hearts one before deepening the kiss. The next moment, the area was covered in gold again as Godou unleashed the smaller swords on Vulin's knights. The girls began celebrating, believing Vulin had finally been stripped of his authority, but Godou sensed otherwise. Before he could warn them, he was thrown across the field into a wall. Vulin commended Godou for taking down his knights and then summoned 3 spirits, which Godou recognized as weather deities. Vulin absorbed them and used their power to attack Godou with a lightning strike, which also stopped the girls from interfering. He shot another lightning bolt at Godou, who blocked it but fell due to the force. As Godou lay on the ground feeling hopeless, he heard voices urging him to rise. When he got back up, he drew power from the incarnation of the goat and fired a lightning bolt at Vulin, who managed to deflect it. Erica was confused about the source of Godou's power, so Yuri explained that it was the incarnation of the goat, which had the power to invoke thunder and unite people's hearts. Just then, Godou fell to the ground exhausted, while Vulin powered up and prepared to fire another lightning bolt. Before he could do so, the girls surrounded Godou and channeled their power into him, allowing him to hold out against Vulin's attack. However, their combined power wasn't enough. Vullin's dead servants began channeling their power into Godou as they begged him to avenge them. With this energy boost, Godou was able to drop a massive lightning ball on Vulin. Yet, Vulin emerged unharmed, and because he was dead, so he tried attacking Godou again. Just then, Erica announced that the sun was rising, so Vulin accepted his defeat and left. As he departed, his dead servants began disappearing too, but they thanked Godou for freeing them. The moment the last servant disappeared, Yuri slumped, but Godou caught her before she hit the floor. When asked what the matter was, Liliana explained that the goat's incarnation not only drew power from one's will but also tapped into their life source. This made Godou worried, but Yuri assured him she was fine, saying she was just naturally weak. Just then, Erica fell to her knees and began coughing, prompting Godou to rush to her side. However, the moment he stepped in front of her, she pulled him in for a kiss, teasing that she wasn't going to let Yuri have all the fun. A few weeks later, Godou and the girls traveled to Italy to spend part of their summer break there. While they were playing beach volleyball, Erica knocked Godou down and immediately rushed to him, fawning over him. Yuri warned her to keep things PG, but Erica insisted that the point of the trip was for her and Godou to get closer and eventually get intimate. Prudish Yuri couldn't believe what she was hearing, but things got even more suspicious when Lucretia said she wanted to join in the fun as she was one of Godou's mistresses. Both she and Erica began pulling Godou's head, in which eye was called Guy's Heaven on. Yuri tried to save him from heaven. Later that evening, while Yuri was relaxing in the hot spring, Lucretia joined her and playfully groped her chest until Ariana arrived with some milk. So, Erica had basically kidnapped Godou and whisked him away on a lifeboat, leaving the island behind. Godou was pretty confused and asked her why she had taken him hostage. Erica's response: she just wanted some alone time with him since it was impossible with everyone else around. She even admitted that she was acting like a clingy, obsessed girlfriend, which Godou couldn't really argue with after everything that had happened. Fast forward to the present, Erica decided to uncuff him, but Godou wasn't about to stick around to find out what her plans were. Instead, he made a break for it, diving into the water and swimming towards the shore. Unfortunately, his escape route led him straight to the hot spring where Yuri was. The moment she saw him, she let out a scream but insisted they needed to talk. While Yuri was giving him a stern lecture about how he had become a cultured degenerate, something unexpected happened. Her towel slipped off, and as a Sigma male he stared on her heaven like a Sets. Of course, guys, this earned him a slap. Meanwhile, Liliana was somewhere in the city when she got some bad news. Her fellow knights had lost track of Salvator. This news made her really anxious because they needed his help to deal with a big problem that was getting out of hand. Even though Salvator could be a major headache and a real pain to deal with, they still needed him. At the beach house, Godou managed to sneak away while the girls and Lucretia were fast asleep. However, he didn't get far before sensing a presence. When he turned to look, he saw Athena. He asked why she had come, and she reminded him that he had entered her territory. Godou argued that this wasn't a good enough reason for her to approach him, but Athena told him she had no intention of fighting. This confused him, so she explained that a battle was coming and she wanted to be involved since he was there. Still puzzled, Godou went along as she led him onto a boat heading towards a glowing light. A few minutes earlier, Salvator had discovered an underground tunnel protected by a witch's seal. Since magic didn't affect him, he walked right in. At the center of the room stood a glowing pillar radiating the power of a god. Just as he reached out to touch it, Liliana arrived and warned him not to. Salvator asked if she wasn't curious about the seal of Hera, known as the Harem, but Liliana ignored his question. She mentioned that since the Gorgon had been found, the magnetic force around the pillar had increased. Salvator admitted that if he'd known Athena would show up, he would have taken action sooner. As he spoke, he drew his sword and pointed it at the pillar, prompting Liliana to beg him not to do anything reckless. Salvator replied that standing by the pillar doing nothing was boring. Liliana tried to dissuade him by saying his magic sword couldn't cut through a goddess's seal, but he assured her that his blade could cut through anything. He then created hard crystals around the hilt of his sword. When he cut the pillar in half, a powerful green light burst through the roof, eventually transforming into a dragon. From the boat, Godou asked Athena what kind of god the dragon was, and she told him it was a divine beast. However, she mentioned that its appearance had caught the attention of a troublesome god. Back at the site where the dragon had emerged, Liliana watched as something struck it with lightning, knocking it out of the sky. Before she could react, a god appeared in front of the dragon and introduced himself as Perseus, the legendary dragon slayer. When Perseus pulled out his sword, Liliana desperately begged him not to kill the dragon. She explained that the dragon had been born from the island's energy, and killing it could cause serious problems. Perseus, however, refused, saying it was his duty. Liliana asked if he didn't care about the consequences for the island, but Perseus dismissed her concerns, calling it a small price to pay for his mission to be completed. As Perseus raised his sword, the dragon seemed to understand the threat and tried to roast him with its fiery breath. Perseus quickly dodged and managed to land a few slashes on the dragon. Just as he was about to deliver the final blow, Athena intervened. Godou arrived at that moment, and Liliana immediately accused him of bringing Athena to the island. Godou assured her that it was Athena who had brought him there. Athena absorbed the dragon, which angered Perseus, who then turned his attention to her. Before they could start fighting, Godou ran to them and pleaded for them not to fight. One look at Godou, and Perseus could tell he wasn't an ordinary human. Athena confirmed it by revealing that Godou was a godslayer. Perseus declared Godou an enemy since he was a royal foe who had fought other heroes. Athena decided to step aside and let Godou and Perseus battle it out. Perseus then aimed his sword at Godou. Before he could attack, Liliana used her flight abilities to carry Godou away as quickly as she could. Godou tried to get her to return, not wanting a fight between the two gods, but Liliana insisted that Perseus was more interested in fighting him, so they needed to buy some time. They ended up in a place with broken buildings. Godou asked Liliana what had happened, and she explained that Salvator had broken the heron seal, releasing the dragon. She said they needed to come up with a plan to deal with Perseus, and Godou mentioned he needed information about Perseus to use his sword effectively. Liliana offered to use her teaching magic to fill him with information, but he explained that magic didn't work on him from the outside. When she asked what he meant by that, a memory of his kiss with Yuri flashed in his mind. Liliana kept insisting he tell her what to do, and he reluctantly admitted he couldn't because he didn't want her acting like Erica. After hearing this, Liliana demanded to know what Erica could do better than her. Terrified by her intensity, Godou blurted out that he couldn't ask her to kiss him. This made her face turn as red as a ripe tomato, and Liliana slumped down in defeat. The next moment, they heard Perseus laughing as he approached on his Pegasus. When he hopped off the horse, he pulled out his sword and challenged Godou. Liliana stepped in between them, insisting that she would fight on Godou's behalf since she couldn't do what was needed to summon his sword. Perseus admired her bravery as she charged at him, but he easily stopped her sword with his own. Knowing that Perseus could send Liliana to the afterlife in the blink of an eye, Godou quickly summoned the incarnation of his boar. The mighty boar erupted from the ground, lifting all three of them into the air. As it jumped, Godou tackled Perseus and threw him off the back of the boar before it landed. The boar started to go on a rampage, but Godou ordered it to stand still. Perseus returned on his horse and ordered the boar to return to the ground, causing it to crumble to pieces. Liliana grabbed Godou and flew to safety to avoid falling to their deaths. Godou couldn't understand how Perseus was able to seal his authority, but there was no time to dwell on it as Perseus began shooting arrows at them. Godou tried to escape using the power of the raptor, but Perseus managed to seal that power too. Before Godou could react, Perseus shot an arrow straight into his chest, and he fell to the ground, dead. Liliana was in a state of shock as she knelt beside Godou's lifeless body. When she saw Perseus preparing to take another shot, she stood up and challenged him, determined to protect Godou's legacy. The next moment, Athena appeared behind Perseus and struck his back with her scythe. She told him to leave Godou alone, declaring that Godou was her prey, and she wouldn't let Perseus have him. Perseus asked if Godou would revive, and Athena confirmed he would. Deciding to retreat until his wounds healed and Godou woke up, Perseus left, planning to finish their fight later. After he was gone, Athena instructed Liliana to inform Godou once he woke up that she would be the one to defeat him. Meanwhile, Godou found himself in a void, trying to understand why he was there. Pandora appeared and explained that for the power of the ram to fully activate, he had to die completely. She warned that things would be difficult when he returned to the living but was interrupted as he woke up. Liliana was relieved to see him awake but scolded him for getting himself killed. Realizing she was being rude, she quickly apologized. Godou reassured her that it wasn't her fault he got pierced by the arrow. Liliana insisted that if she had agreed to kiss him, he wouldn't have been hurt and even offered to commit seppuku to atone for her failure. Just as Godou was trying to convince her that such drastic measures were unnecessary, the door opened and a girl in a maid's uniform entered. The girl introduced herself as Karen and informed Godou that Liliana had watched over him all night. Godou thanked Liliana, who modestly said she was just doing her duty as a knight. Karen, with a knowing smile, mentioned that she'd heard from Ariana that Godou had been on a trip. She said he had traveled with Erica and Yuri but ended up meeting his mistress, Lucretia Isola. Liliana was horrified as Karen continued, talking about how Godou had been spending time on the beach. Even though Godou tried to tell Liliana that Karen was lying, Liliana lost her temper. She accused Godou of being the Lord of the Rakes with a plan to create a harem of beautiful women from around the world. To make things worse, Karen told Liliana that Godou expected her to serve him as well. Almost immediately, Liliana began stripping, much to Godou's shock. As Karen took pictures, Godou tried to convince Liliana to put her clothes back on. But I think guys she has different mood, so she dropped her skirt and exposed herself. He desperately tried to restore some order to the chaotic situation. On the island, where the others were, all the electronics, cars, and boats had suddenly stopped working. Erica informed Yuri that after receiving a call about what had happened to Godou, everything had just ceased functioning. Yuri, worried, asked if Godou would be alright. Erica reassured her that their best course of action was to concentrate on finding a way off the island, as she was confident Godou would be fine. Meanwhile, in Naples, Godou attempted to call Erica but couldn't get through. Karen then turned to Liliana, asking what they should do. Still embarrassed from earlier, Liliana ignored them. Godou tried to calm her down, but she abruptly stood up and punched the wall in frustration. She insisted they needed to focus on stopping Perseus, which reminded Godou of how Perseus had sealed his powers. Liliana suggested that his name might indicate he was from an eastern country, but she wasn't certain. Godou wished Erica and the others were there to help. The only part Liliana caught was Erica's name, and Karen noticed Liliana was about to get upset. Karen suggested that Godou step out onto the balcony for some fresh air. Once he was gone, Karen told Liliana this was her chance to get close to Godou since Erica wasn't around to interfere. She pointed out that their organizations had always been at odds, and Erica becoming Godou's knight had tipped the power balance in Erica's favor. Karen hinted that fate had brought Liliana and Godou together, implying it wasn't a coincidence they were now fighting side by side. Liliana started to think Karen might be right but quickly dismissed the idea and excused herself. Outside on the balcony, Godou noticed a book lying on the floor and picked it up. When he opened it, he saw it was in Italian. However, ever since becoming a Campione, he could understand different languages with ease, so he had no trouble reading it. Just as he began to read, he suddenly felt a blade at his back. Liliana, sounding like a complete psycho, threatened to kill him and then herself since he had discovered her secret. Godou began begging for his life, holding the sword to his throat. Fortunately, Athena appeared just in time, stopping Liliana from carrying out her threat. They eventually went to the beach with Athena, and Godou asked why Perseus had been able to cancel his authority. Athena told him that if he wanted to find out, he would have to do her a favor, to which he quickly agreed. Thankfully, Liliana stepped in and declined the offer, showing she was the only one thinking clearly. Athena, unfazed, told Godou that if he changed his mind, he could come find her. On their way back to the Bronze Black Cross headquarters, Godou asked Liliana why she had stopped him from taking the deal. She explained that making such a deal was dangerous, even for a Campione. Liliana was so annoyed by his stupidity that she began scolding him until she realized what she was doing and started apologizing. Godou told her she was right and begged her to stand up, but she refused and kept bowing her head. Noticing the attention her behavior was drawing, he pulled her up and decided to get her some ice cream. As they licked their ice cream, Liliana asked why he cared about her. He told her it was because she was his friend, and without her and the others' help, he wouldn't be where he was, so he had to look out for them. Embarrassed, Liliana tried to cover it up by reminding him they needed to deal with Perseus. When she turned to leave, Godou called out and commented that her writing hobby wasn't a bad thing. But instead of thanking him, she threw her ice cream at him. Later on, while Liliana and Godou were trying to learn more about Perseus from some books, Liliana's mind began to drift. Before she knew it, she was daydreaming about being with Godou. When her thoughts turned to more intimate fantasies, she quickly stepped out of the room to calm herself down. Once she had composed herself, she returned and offered Godou some tea. After taking a sip, Godou cried out in pain and dropped the cup. Liliana apologized for drugging him, explaining that it was the only way she could think of to take Athena's deal. When she arrived at the beach, Athena was already there. Liliana asked her to explain what Perseus was using to cancel Godou's authority. Athena spoke in riddles, which confused Liliana, but suddenly she received a vision. Realizing what had happened, Athena appeared before Liliana and declared that she wouldn't let her return to Godou. Liliana stood in shock as Athena began to undress, but just in time, Godou arrived, preventing anything further from happening. But I don't know why my editing got hard again. Even though he was weak, Godou told Athena he would fight her if she tried to harm Liliana, causing her to back off. He then asked her to share what she knew. Athena explained that Perseus's connection to the east and the sun god was through their ancestor, who had founded an empire. Hearing this, Liliana realized what they needed, but Godou couldn't celebrate as he nearly fainted. Athena caught him just in time and told him that the next time they met would be after he had defeated Perseus. She then tossed him to Liliana, who held on to him even as her clothes began to slip. Meanwhile, Erica, Lucretia, and Ariana had been tied up by Salvator, who then tied up Yuri as well. He admitted to cutting off all the power and gadgets on the island to prevent them from interfering with Godou's fight. Back in Naples, Liliana and Godou were talking when an arrow struck the wall beside Godou's head and transformed into a silver coin. When Godou touched it, a message from Perseus played, inviting him to finish their battle. A few hours later, Perseus was addressing a crowd that praised him as a god hero before he turned to face Godou. Perseus taunted Godou, asking if he was afraid of being humiliated in front of everyone. Godou confidently replied that he wasn't scared. Perseus then announced that their weapons would do all the talking, and Godou agreed, selecting an incarnation to use for the fight. Hours earlier, Godou and Liliana had taken Perseus's message coin to their headquarters and played the message in front of Karen. After listening, Karen suggested Liliana transfer the knowledge from her vision to Godou, but Liliana refused, saying it was better if she explained it herself. Karen then brought out all the books needed for the explanation, which made Liliana reconsider. Karen proposed that Liliana transfer the knowledge to her instead, so she could then pass it to Godou, but Liliana still refused. Karen started teasing her about how Erica would react if she found out, which Liliana didn't appreciate. Godou just smiled and excused himself, saying he needed to use the bathroom. After he left, Karen tried to convince Liliana that everything happening was fated, but Liliana wasn't buying it. They soon realized that Godou was taking a long time in the bathroom. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a bus stopped and Godou got off. Liliana, who had been waiting, spoke to him from a nearby lamppost. They found a place to sit, and Godou told her he didn't want to force her to do something she didn't want to do. Liliana insisted that as a king, he could order her to do anything, but he assured her he wasn't like Vauban, who had forced her into uncomfortable situations. As they got up to leave, an arrow flew towards them, stopping them in their tracks. They looked to see Perseus, who announced he had come to continue their fight. Back at the arena, Godou and Perseus were locked in a fierce battle. Perseus used his powers to seal Godou's abilities, then shot an arrow that sent Godou flying into a nearby building. Liliana rushed to him and was relieved to see he wasn't seriously hurt. She asked what he planned to do, and he said he would figure it out, as he was the only one who could stand against Perseus. Annoyed, Liliana pulled him in for a kiss. After they parted, she told him to stop being stubborn and let her help him, as it was the only way to defeat Perseus. When he agreed, she asked him to kiss her, as she felt it was wrong for her to initiate it. He complied, and outside, Perseus was preparing to shoot another arrow to draw Godou out. Suddenly, Godou appeared in front of Perseus, carrying Liliana. He declared that he knew Perseus wasn't really Perseus, but Mithra. He explained that Mithra could seal his authority because Verth Ragna had once served him. Perseus, impressed by Godou's knowledge, didn't hold back and attacked. Godou blocked all the attacks until his sword grew very large, using it to deflect the next arrow Perseus shot at him. Godou managed to send the arrow back, surprising Perseus before they were transported back to the real world. Perseus praised Godou for destroying his bow, but then kicked him to the ground and stabbed his shoulder with his sword. To his surprise, Godou grabbed the blade with his free hand and used his strength to kick Perseus, sending him flying into some buildings. Liliana rushed to Godou's side, and he explained that he had let Perseus injure him so he could activate the camel incarnation. Just then, Perseus returned and, upon noticing Liliana, hypnotized her with a look, turning her into a mindless zombie. He ordered her to attack Godou. Despite Godou's attempts to talk sense into her, she kept slashing at him. After he managed to get away, she switched to a bow and arrows. Godou refused to move and called out her name. When she fired the arrows, they flew past him and hit Perseus instead. Godou immediately checked on Liliana, and she told him she had heard his voice, which allowed her to regain control. Perseus, pulling the arrow from his shoulder, admitted he had underestimated the power of love but wasn't ready to accept defeat. He charged at Godou, and as they fought, Liliana prepared to shoot her arrows. She found an opening and let them fly, but Perseus dodged all except the last one, which acted as a boomerang and struck his shoulder. Gathering all his strength, Godou summoned the boar and hurled it at Perseus before collapsing from exhaustion and his injuries. Liliana tried to heal him by kissing him, but Athena suddenly appeared, offering to heal him as an apology for dragging him into her mess. Liliana tried to protest, but Athena healed Godou and then kissed him again, calling it a gift. Before leaving, she told Liliana to let Godou know they would meet again, much to Liliana's disappointment. Elsewhere, in Ally, Perseus was attacked and completely swallowed by Athena. The next morning, Liliana was peeling apples for Godou when Erica and Yuri arrived. The first thing Erica did was attempt to attack Godou. Liliana quickly intercepted the blade with her small knife and asked why Erica wanted to harm her master. Yuri then stood beside Erica and congratulated Godou on defeating Perseus. When he asked how she knew, Yuri explained that Karen had informed her. At that moment, Karen and Ariana appeared to say hello, and then left. Erica then asked if Liliana and Godou had kissed. Godou explained that it was the only way to gain the knowledge he needed. Erica called him a three-timing skirt-chasing man and immediately pulled out her sword, deciding to teach him a lesson he wouldn't forget for his supposed cheating. A while later, a black-haired girl paid Yuri a visit and expressed her disapproval of losing Godou to Erica. She mentioned that she had been instructed to become Godou's concubine, just like Yuri. Noting Yuri's apparent feelings for Godou, she proposed that they share the responsibilities. Yuri would take care of romantic aspects and having children, while she would handle everything else once they devised a plan. Later that day, during lunch, Liliana attempted to feed Godou a sandwich. Meanwhile, Shizuka was baffled by why these attractive women were drawn to her seemingly clueless brother. She asked Erica and Yuri if they were okay with Godou's womanizing ways. They reassured her it wasn't what it seemed, though they remembered how Liliana had introduced herself to the class, declaring her loyalty to Godou. She had even used her hypnotic abilities to make a student switch seats with her and had taken it upon herself to pick Godou up every morning like a devoted chauffeur. Erica then told Shizuka that Liliana was acting like a love-struck fool because Godou had been her first, suggesting some intimate involvement that wasn't true. As Shizuka began to scold her awkward brother, Yuri told Erica to stop teasing. Erica insisted she was only stating the facts. Yuri watched Liliana perform her loyal duties, feeling a bit down until Erica reassured her. She said that no matter how hard Liliana tried, Godou would always see her as just a knight. After classes, Godou found a note on his desk inviting him to the tea room. Liliana suddenly appeared beside him and insisted on accompanying him. When they arrived at the tea room, they found a black-haired girl bowing in front of the door. She introduced herself as Seishuanina, his new servant, and explained that she wanted to greet him since she had been ordered to marry him, just like Yuri. As they sat down to drink tea, Godou asked why he had to marry Ina. She replied that there was nothing wrong with it. Ina pointed out that he already had 3 mistresses, excluding Lucretia, so there was no reason to fear marriage. Godou argued that the girls were just his friends, prompting Ina to ask if he had truly placed Yuri in the friend zone. When he confirmed, she asked Yuri if she was okay with it, and Yuri said that as long as it was what Godou wanted, she didn't mind. Liliana then questioned Ina about her intentions in disrupting Godou's life. Ina referred to Liliana as number 2, which puzzled her. Ina clarified that she meant Liliana was the second strongest. Without thinking, Liliana asked if she was implying that the shameless Erica was better than her. Ina explained that although they were evenly matched in combat, Liliana tended to think only like a knight. Ina then called Erica's name, revealing that she had been watching. Ina told Erica she wanted to discuss a few things, and Erica suggested they go somewhere private for the conversation. A short while later, Godou, Yuri, and Liliana stood by the school gates, waiting for Erica to return. Godou was getting impatient as she hadn't come back yet. When Erica finally showed up, Godou confirmed that she hadn't secretly harmed Ina. He then invited all 3 of them out to eat, but they each came up with excuses not to go, leaving him alone with Shizuka, who wanted to know more about Ina. Meanwhile, Athena was engaged in a fierce battle with a shadowy figure, and it didn't seem like she was winning. The next day, during swimming lessons, Erica observed as Yuri and Liliana acted like strangers toward each other. Later, during lunch on the rooftop, while Shizuka and Godou were eating, Erica came to invite Godou on a date, causing Shizuka to walk away angrily. A few days later, as Erica was preparing for her date, she called Liliana to tell her about it, causing Liliana to freak out. After hanging up, Erica called Yuri to say she had something important to discuss later. She then went to pick Godou up from his house, and as they walked together, she asked what he had planned for their date. When he admitted he hadn't planned anything, she realized he hadn't even thought about the date. They decided to go to a jewelry store. While Erica was trying on different pieces, she asked Godou which one he liked best, making him nervous. Teasing him, Erica said he didn't have to pretend he didn't know what she liked. He begged her to get dressed, saying he had an idea for their date. For the rest of the day, they visited various restaurants, trying different foods and enjoying each other's company. After a while, they sat on a bench in the park, enjoying some ice cream. Erica noticed the tower that had been destroyed during his fight with Vulin and remarked on it. She mentioned that the plaza in Naples had also been damaged and would take time to repair, but she seemed pleased, thinking he was leaving his mark around the world. Godou told her that destruction wasn't something to be proud of, so she got up and said she knew where she wanted their day to end. Meanwhile, Liliana visited the shrine to see Yuri and paced around while Yuri did her chores. She asked Yuri how she could be so calm when Godou was alone with Erica, who likely had plans for him. Yuri reassured her that Erica wouldn't do something like that. Liliana then asked if Yuri didn't care about Godou anymore. Yuri explained that even though she had fought alongside Godou for a long time, he still saw her as just a friend. However, to him, a friend was someone worth risking his life to save. Liliana asked if that was what Erica had told her, and Yuri confirmed it. Back in the city, Erica took Godou to the place where he had fought Athena. He was puzzled by why she wanted to go there. She explained that it was special to her because it was where he had his first victory. She also told him it wasn't fair to label those who fought with him as just friends. When he apologized, she said she knew his brain worked differently. A few minutes later, Liliana arrived and announced she had planned a date with Erica, confusing Godou. She clarified that they were going to have a one-on-one duel. Erica said he couldn't interfere and then went to change outfits, preparing for their duel. The moment Ina drew her sword, Yuri sensed its energy and quickly ran out of the shrine with Liliana close behind. As the two girls fought, Godou asked why they were trying to harm each other. Erica explained that she was merely defending herself since Ina was determined to eliminate her. Ina backed up her actions by saying that a Japanese king deserved a Japanese mistress, not an Italian usurper. Godou couldn't believe they were fighting over something so trivial, but the girls insisted it was important. Ina managed to push Erica back and, noticing her sword was chipped, revealed that Ina's sword was a divine weapon. Erica then used the spell to summon thunder, trapping it in her sword before charging at Ina. Just before their blades could clash, Godou intervened, demonstrating the power of plot armor by getting between them. Erica scolded him for being reckless, but he said it was the only way to prevent them from making an unscheduled trip to Hades. He then asked them to drop their swords, but Ina refused, and her sword began to glow, causing Godou's powers to react to it. Since Ina could partially channel godly powers through her body, when she tried to strike Erica, Godou grabbed the hilt of her sword, which caused a portal to open beneath his feet. After Godou passed through the portal, Erica attacked Ina, demanding to know where he had gone. Ina told her he was in the netherworld, pushing Erica back. Ina then jumped into the portal herself, realizing that Godou might still be alive and not willing to lose him. Meanwhile, Shizuka was at home watching TV when Athena crashed through the ceiling and asked where Godou was. Godou, on the other hand, was walking through a forest in the netherworld and came across a small wooden house. When he walked in, he saw a man who introduced himself as Susano, Ina's grandfather. Susano told Godou that he was in the netherworld. As soon as he asked where they were, Godou began getting visions of Susano's past. When the visions cleared, he found Susano's sword in his hand. Susano explained that the netherworld had the power to reveal things from the past and future. He then joked about challenging Godou but later admitted he was kidding. He mentioned that he wanted to transfer some of his power to Ina. Hearing Ina's name, Godou asked if she and Erica were fine. Susano told him they were still fighting. He then opened a pot of water, showing the two girls battling. Godou demanded Susano take him to them, but Susano refused and advised him to picture them in his mind to be transported there instantly. In the forest, Ina managed to push Erica back and called upon the god inhabiting her sword, allowing it to take over her body. After her transformation, she absorbed Erica's mana and attempted to deliver a final blow. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Yuri used her powers to discover where Godou, Erica, and Ina had gone. She asked Liliana if there was a way to retrieve them. Liliana said there was, but they lacked the necessary ingredients to complete the ritual to open a portal. Just then, Emikasu arrived and offered to help. However, Liliana accused him of being behind the incident. Emikasu assured her that he wanted Godou to return as much as they did because they needed his help. This made Yuri ask what the problem was, and he explained that strange things had been happening around the globe. In the netherworld, Godou arrived just in time to save Erica. After telling her to leave everything to him, he faced Ina. He quickly realized that Ina wasn't in control, and that the sword had taken over her body. Godou activated his authority, enveloping the area in his golden light. Using smaller swords, he weakened Ina's body, forcing her to flee. When he turned around, he found Erica unconscious. He rushed over to help her. Sometime later, Erica woke up but was still very weak. Godou decided to take her to Susano, but he couldn't picture him properly in his head and kept getting transported to different places. Meanwhile, at Godou's house, Shizuka and Athena were talking when they heard on TV that parts of the world were being enveloped in darkness. Before Shizuka could comment, Athena disappeared. Back in the netherworld, Erica knew she was dying and begged Godou to look after the others on her behalf. Despite Godou insisting she stop saying such things, she told him that she loved him and was sad to leave him. He held her in his arms and kissed her, hoping to heal her. When it didn't work, he cursed the gods for trying to take her from him. Suddenly, he found himself in a void with Verth Ragna, who told him to take his power and defy the gods, offering him the power of youth. When he returned to Erica, Godou made her promise to stay by his side no matter what. They kissed as they lay together on the beach. Suddenly, Moraka returned, this time in the form of a hybrid beast. When Godou tried to fight it, Erica stopped him and insisted on taking on the task herself. After she struck it with a powerful blow, it fell back, and Ina, who was still attached to it, regained her senses. Godou called out to her, saying he would save her. Erica managed to block the beast, allowing Godou to activate the power of the raptor to reach Ina and pull her out. Due to the way they fell, Ina ended up straddling Godou, and when they realized she was naked, they quickly jumped apart. After Ina put on some clothes, she thanked him for saving her with a kiss. Erica then asked them to hold off on any more displays of affection until she finished off Moraka. The place they were in shattered, and they found themselves at Yuri's shrine. There, they witnessed Athena absorb Moraka. However, a second Athena appeared, and Godou revealed that the one who had absorbed Moraka was Medes, Athena's mother. He explained that Susano had told him about her while he was in the netherworld, and that she wished to swallow the sky and plunge the world into darkness. Yuri pointed out that the prophecy they had once believed was about Athena was actually about Medes. Medes then pulled out a sword and transformed it into a scythe before charging at Godou. Fortunately, Athena pushed him out of the way before Medes could hit him. Godou asked how she could wield a weapon of a god. Just then, Yuri had a vision and explained that Medes could wield the weapon because it had been bestowed upon its owner by a snake, and Medes was a snake. Erica then ordered Godou to take Athena and leave because if Medes absorbed her, the world would remain in darkness. Godou tried to refuse, but Erica insisted he had to be their last line of defense. At that moment, Ariana and Amikasu arrived in a car. Yuri pushed Godou and Athena inside but stayed behind. As they drove away, Athena asked Godou who she was and about Medes' origin. Upon hearing her questions, Amikasu revealed that Athena had lost her memories and powers. He explained that Medes had materialized from the Gorgon and had managed to absorb all of Athena's memories and powers. Back at the shrine, Erica fought Medes head-on. The girls were surprised to see Erica using Godou's powers, but she knew they wouldn't last. She fought fiercely until Liliana joined her. Yuri and Ina combined their powers to hold Medes in place, allowing Erica and Liliana to launch a powerful strike against her. Meanwhile, at the hiding place where Godou and Athena were, he felt his powers return and prayed that Erica and the others were fine. Athena then asked him what a god was. He explained that he always thought of them as strong and mighty, but after meeting some, he realized they were nothing but children. As soon as he finished speaking, Medes dropped on them like an atomic bomb, destroying the place. When the smoke cleared, Godou tried to convince Medes to return to Athena, but she refused, saying it was pointless to protect her. Godou said he didn't mind because Athena was his friend, making Medes laugh as she began attacking him. Godou managed to hold out against her by switching between his authorities. However, Medes managed to land a hit, and when Athena tried to go to Godou, Medes struck her too. Despite being injured, Athena held onto her weapon and called out to Godou, who summoned the white stallion to attack Medes with its fire. Unfortunately, Medes remained unharmed and grabbed Athena, absorbing her completely. With Athena absorbed, Medes took on her original form and faced Godou. Just then, the girls arrived and each kissed Godou to strengthen him. With their support, he managed to separate Athena from Medes. He then asked the girls to lend him their strength, summoning the boar and throwing it at Medes. To their surprise, Medes pushed back against it and destroyed it. Medes then focused on Athena, trying to absorb her again. Godou immediately ran towards Athena, screaming for her to wake up. Eventually, she did and kissed him. Their combined powers created a large golden scythe, which they used to cut down Medes. As Medes disappeared, she told Athena to remember that she was darkness itself. At the same time, the darkness around the world lifted. Before Athena disappeared too, she promised Godou that she would see him again. Leaving him to wonder if Athena had allowed Medes to absorb her, Godou soon fainted. The girls rushed to his side to make sure he was still alive. So that's it for today's video. Watch the following video and I will see you in next one.